Well, good evening, and thanks for joining us as always here on Speed Racing Network. I'm Greg Olenek, joined by Brandon Domain. Brandon, you're stuck with me here tonight. You got to take a little bit of go blast to the past with Sean Griffith last night in the Cup Series race, but I'm back here tonight, so thanks for covering for me last night. Great race in the Cup Series here at Kentucky. Looking for another good one here tonight. These Truck Series guys have been putting on some good action all season long. 30 drivers in the field here tonight.
Yeah, 30 drivers in the field tonight so far as we get qualifying underway. And last night's race was as green as the walls here at Kentucky. 0 incident points, 0 cautions the whole way through. Timothy Latham with a pretty comfortable win. And all 5 of the drivers that were above the cut line on that cutoff race, when it comes to the playoff standings, they left this track ahead of that cut line as well, all finishing inside the top 7. That's what the top 5 here in the Truck Series are hoping for, but there's a lot tighter of a race here in the Truck Series close to that cut line than what we saw going into last night.
Yeah, we saw the guy that pretty much dominated the regular season, Joseph Causey, go home in the second round, so he is not going to be competing for the championship. And kind of, similar story here, but Ryan Johnson there sitting fourth. He has absolutely dominated. You can't say any other word. Dominated this season. Only 8 points above this cut line. This is a tight field regardless. Sean Jensick with a bad night here could easily fall out of this top 5. So it is going to be white knuckling for 95 laps here this evening.
It sure is. 14 points separating first from being out, and that's Sean Jensick back to Andrew Harris, who's the first driver out right now. And there's only 5 points separating Lane Doyle in 5th, back down to Bobby Anderson in 8th place. So this thing wide open, and like you pointed out, Ryan Johnson dominant this season. He leads in wins, top 5s, laps led, incident points, pretty much every stat you can find aside from top 10s, which is Brad Herman actually leading that one. But, he's sitting there just 8 points out, and it's not like he's had a bad run. It's a 1st and an 11th. That's just how tight that this field is.
Yeah, and Landon Cardulo going to have a lot of work to do. He's looking very fast here tonight back there in 9th. Beyer, well, I think he is all but done here back there in 10th. But you mentioned Brad Herman. That's our defending series champion here in the Truck Series. He's sitting there in 7th, like you said, 4 points back. He's going to be looking to make up some ground on these guys ahead of him. And we always talk about it, but Bobby Anderson lurking around that top 5 once again, 5 points back. And I gave you a little stat earlier where these last 2 races in the first 2 seasons of SRN, he's had a 5th, 6th, 8th, and a 23rd place in the championship race, which he obviously had some troubles in, but qualified 3rd in that race. Bobby is always fast when it counts, and 2 races to go, looking to strike in that top 5 one more time here this season.
Yeah, and we've talked about it all playoff long. Bobby Anderson is just that guy that keeps finding a way to get a point or 2 ahead of that cut line at the end of a round. And he's done that all the way back to season 1. I remember him getting to that championship race, and I think he was in a similar position entering that race, I believe in 7th or 8th, and made his way in on a tie break into the season 1 championship. Season 2 makes his way into the championship once again. Just one of those clutch drivers, and we'll see if he can do it again. But, this has got some firepower to this field of 10 right now.
And before we move on to that Tier 2 championship, I'm looking to see what you think, Brandon. You think we see this 5 names in white advance to the next round, or you think it's going to change heading
well, I will tease it with who I will pick later, so I'll kind of name who I think it is going to be in a little bit once we get started, but I think somebody is going to shake up that top 5 tonight.
Right. I think so too. I don't think this is going to be our final 5 like we saw with the Cup Series last night. I think it's going to get shaken up. I don't know who's going to fall out and who's going to get in, but it is going to be good here after 95 laps. So with about 6 minutes left in qualifying, let's go to check out the Tier 2 championship. A change in the lead. Jacob Zala had the lead last week. Blair Holloman taking it now with 137 points so far. Jacob there 11 points back in 2nd. Then a pretty sizable gap from about 3rd through 5th on back. So I think this is a 2-horse race, and a bad race for Zala last week kind of hurt him here. So he's going to have to try and run Blair down here again here tonight in Kentucky.
And Jacob's done a fantastic job. Just like you said, one bad race with that 30th place finish. And in a short sprint style of a season that we see with this Tier 2 championship, you only get the one drop week. And that kind of hurts if you put together a couple of bad races. You really got to be pretty flawless throughout this entire thing. And that's what Blair Holloman's been. Obviously, he was in the playoffs in that first round and wasn't able to make the cut. But it was really that he just got outscored. He didn't do poorly in that playoff round. Just got beat out there, and he's sitting there atop the standings. Ben Park similar in third, but we got a pretty close race where you only got about 12 points separating Ben Park in third, all the way down to Dean Gagliano in 8th place, and that 3rd place driver taking home some money as well.
Yeah, so definitely a race to be had here, and it's going to be getting good there for, like you said, 3rd place here tonight. So let's go ahead and check out that other championship we have here, as always, on Speed Racing Network, and it's the team championship here in the Truck Series, and it's the Fast 4 round, and we're in that last race before we determine who's going to go head-to-head in that final week. JW going up against Bayer, and Dark Tank going up against Zuyos Racing. So let's go ahead and check out that first matchup. JW with a sizable lead here.
Yeah, 82-point gap. That's going to be pretty difficult to overcome. It's not impossible, though, but the hard thing is you got to hope that multiple drivers for JW Racing have a bad night here in Kentucky, and that is not out of the question when you have 3 guys racing to try to make that cut line. They might be aggressive. They might have to take some big shots there, and that could kind of cause some misalignment there when it comes to that team side of things. So never know how that's going to play out. I won't count out Jonathan Bayer Racing, but they are going to have to be perfect tonight to have a chance.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting. You take a look at that average, 113 points per race in that first round against Tank, right on par this round once again. So JW Racing, very consistent. It's going to be very hard for JBR to come back here, but nonetheless in it and can still win it. So let's go ahead, check out that 2v3 matchup. Dark Tank Racing going up against Zuyos. This one a little bit closer, Brandon.
Yeah, because you're looking down to about a 46-point gap now on this one, and Zuyos just continues to just keep chipping away and advancing through this team format. They came in as a 3 seed, so this isn't too much of a shock, but Dark Tank was really looking strong and just kind of struggled here in the past couple of races. I mean, you're looking at a 13th, a 20th, and a 29th for their 3 scored drivers last week, and that really hurt them, but you also look at the averages there. They were coming in about 12 points low from each race here in that first round. So this was kind of what we were thinking might play out, and Zuyos has actually opened up a little bit more of a gap than what we were kind of projecting.
Yeah, so Dark Tank still very much in it with Ben Park, Daniel Park, AJ Pritchett out there. Ben Park looking pretty fast here tonight, so they will still be well within distance. A bad night, like you said, for Zuyos can easily spell trouble for them here in this last race before moving on. So just over 2 minutes before these guys wrap up qualifying. Still a handful of drivers that have yet to go out with that track cooling off. We're going to have racing under the lights here shortly, but checking out our sponsors, Silverback Tax Solutions, coming on board to sponsor our green flag restarts each and every time here. Go ahead and check them out at silverbacktax.com if you have any issues with the IRS whatsoever. Sparkle and Shine Mobile Detailing coming on board for the wreck replays here. Can't thank them enough. Go ahead and check them out if you're wanting to get that car looking really nice and clean here this summer. Butt Kicker coming on board to sponsor the Butt Kicker Hard Charger Award. That one in the Truck Series all but wrapped up here with 2 weeks to go. We'll check that out here in a second. And TJ's Team Foundation over at morethan-a-cape.org, sponsoring each and every winning moment. So we've had a lot of those here this season, a few more to go, a few big ones left to be had. So let's go ahead and check out those Butt Kicker Hard Charger standings. And a pretty, you can say this thing's pretty clinched here in the Truck Series. Rob Yost has done a great job, and he's probably going to come away with this Butt Kicker Gamer 2 here in just a few weeks, courtesy of Butt Kicker.
Yeah, it's not entirely wrapped up just yet, but it just about is wrapped up at this point. He's got about a 3.5 point lead here in per average gain throughout the races, and Rob has been pretty consistent this season. In fact, I think he's been completely consistent this season about not qualifying to kind of maximize this, and it showed as he's got that 13.1 position gained average. Dan Park, probably the last one with a mathematical chance, but he's going to need a pretty good miracle there to catch him at this rate. But still, you're looking at 9 positions, 8 positions, 8 positions, just big time moves through the field for a lot of these drivers.
Yeah, I think Sean told me that Dan Park would need to average 36 positions gained in the last 2 races, and that just seems pretty unfeasible considering, there's only 30 cars in the field tonight, so a little difficult for that to happen. So yeah, Rob Yost, congratulations. We're going to go ahead and crown you right now, but still 2 weeks to go before we can make that official. I see the cars starting to head out there on the track, so let's go ahead and remind you guys before we get out there of exactly what these guys are racing for. We're not looking at that left side anymore, Brandon. We're looking at that right side column. That season payout, first place, going to come away with $500. That is a nice piece of cash in your bank account after a 20-week season.
Certainly is, and we'll figure out which 5 are going to be going for that 500, 300, 180, 120, and 80 next week at Homestead. But don't forget the 5 drivers eliminated tonight. They'll be in the running for 60, 40, and 20, where the top 3 drivers in that group of 5 will get a cash prize as well.
Yeah, so a lot to be had here in the next couple of weeks, so you cannot afford any mistakes. Here we are. Kentucky Speedway, round of 10, race 3. It's that cutoff race before we head to Homestead, Miami, down in Florida for that championship race. Brandon, I'm going to go ahead and do you the courtesy of not giving you any corny Sparta jokes here tonight, but this is one of my favorite tracks out here and one of my favorite combos at that in these trucks. It's going to be a good one.
It certainly is. I mean, these 1.5-mile D-shaped ovals in the trucks, that is just a match made in heaven on iRacing and in real life. Just with how momentum-based these trucks are, the way that they move out there in traffic just creates really, really good racing. And as we look at the grid here, it's going to be, once again, Ryan Johnson is going to be starting out on front in position number 1, 30.592 seconds for Johnson. Andrew Harris, first driver out in the playoffs, entering tonight, just 400ths back. He'll be on the outside of row number 1. Row 2, also playoff contenders. Landon Cardulo sitting in 3rd. Trevor Williams will be in 4th position. He's 3rd place entering this race. Lane Doyle, the bubble driver, will be starting in position number 5 with Jonathan Byer currently running 10th in the playoff standings on the outside of row 3.
Yeah, Bobby Anderson, Blair Holloman in row number 4. Ben Park and Michael Madden going to be in row 10. And Jacob Zala, Troy Techmeyer going to round out row number 6. And I'm starting to see some trucks pull off onto the track here. Brandon, it's a big race. A lot on the line tonight. You kind of teased it a little bit earlier. Who are you thinking about taking here?
Well, I'm not going to say he'll be the only one that could shake it up, but I'm looking a little bit farther back from that top 12. The man that won here last season, Brad Herman, starting in the 15th position, needs to make up 4 positions. A win would just about guarantee, there's 4 points. A win would just about guarantee that with the way that the points play out. So I'm looking at that 85 truck to kind of snap this little bit of a slower run that he's had in the playoffs. He's still averaging a 9.6, but that's slow for his standards there. I think he's going to shake out of that tonight.
I got to take the man up front. He just has had a lot on the line. He hasn't felt the pressure all season long. He has probably turned a bunch of laps. I'm going Ryan Johnson to get another win this season. Why not? He wants to be there in Homestead and race for that championship. So Ryan Johnson going to be my pick tonight.
Yeah, hard to go against the guy that's got 7 wins on the season and 18
I'll take the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out if he can make it 8 out of 19. We're ready to go in Kentucky.
Yeah, that's Silverback Tax Solutions. Green flag is waving, and we're getting this thing underway. Yeah, here we go. For a second, I thought they delayed the green flag. They waited so long here, but we're underway here in Kentucky. 95 laps at one of my favorite tracks. 3 wide already.
And 3 wide in a hurry. You can pull that off pretty well in 1 and 2 in these trucks. 3 and 4, that's going to be a little difficult, but Andrew Harris going to make that decision for Trevor Williams himself and just say, you know what, I'm just going to slide up in front of you and cut that idea off before we even get to the backstretch.
Yeah, just you see the great racing that this track promotes, one of the wider surfaces on the NASCAR circuit, and you can really use all these lanes that this track promotes, so it is going to be a good one here tonight. Andrew Harris not letting Ryan Johnson get away. Harris is that driver that sits 1 point below the cut line, so if he can stay where he's at, he's liking his odds.
It certainly does. And keep in mind throughout this race, you get a bonus point for leading a lap. You get a bonus point for leading the most laps. Speaking of leading, Andrew Harris to the inside entering turn 3, and he's going to take that lead away from Ryan Johnson. So credit lap number 2. That'll go to Andrew Harris. He'll be the second driver to pick up a bonus point here tonight. Ryan Johnson also picking up 2 bonus points for starting on the pole, which is another one out there, and a clean race is 0x, no incidents. Also a point available for these drivers.
And Landon Cardulo quickly moving up through the field now. He's moving on by Ryan Johnson and trying to take a look to the outside of Andrew Harris, who was blinking a little bit not too long ago there on this current lap. So he's got to be concerned about that, being out in the lead and being a cutoff race. But they're side by side coming back to the stripe. Landon Cardulo 18 points back of the cut line. He's going to need every point he can get, not wasting any time getting out front.
And Harris did lead at the stripe, so this will be the lap that Landon Cardulo could pick up that bonus point, and that is a critical bonus point coming from 18 points back entering this race. And we've seen some hairy moments in the middle of the field, but up front it has just been a bit of leapfrog out there for the race lead. And credit our third lead change of the night, a third playoff driver out in front. It's Landon Cardulo.
Yeah, so 13 out in front, but our current points leader, Sean Jensick, not starting off too hot. He started 18th, currently in the 19th position. So I told you at the top of the broadcast, 14 points, not going to be safe. He's going to be needing to move up through the field. A lot of time left in this thing, though, but the traffic has to be concerning back here.
It has been a wild one in the mid-pack. I've kind of had my second screen set towards some of the guys in the middle. We've seen a lot of 3 wide racing, a lot of dicey moments, a couple of trucks getting loose on exit, a lot of tight racing like we just saw there with Jensick and Mueller as they almost made contact together entering turn 1. That has been kind of the norm here in the first 6 laps around this racetrack for those guys in the middle of the field.
Yes, sir. Jensick to the inside of Halda. He's going to try and make quick work of him and take that 17th position. But want to go ahead back up to third, where Johnson now feeling the pressure from Ben Park. This could be the 48 setting up for a long run, but that number 8 truck out of Dark Tank Racing, they get really tight there. And that has to keep Ryan Johnson a little bit on edge as he starts to fall back here further on back into this traffic. You got to be careful, but luckily he has his teammate Lane Doyle behind him as well as Trevor Williams. So it's going to be feeling a little bit safer with these guys behind them.
Now, all 3 of those JW trucks all currently sitting 3rd, 4th, and 5th in the playoff standings entering this race. They can kind of act as an escort for each other and just really kind of guide each other through this race, try to keep them out of trouble. But they're going to have to be very cautious about how they race, who they race, because you're looking at Ben Park, who's trying to help his team, Dark Tank, in the team side. He's trying to hold on to a top 3 spot in the Tier 2. Bobby Anderson now splitting the middle there in the yellow truck, a couple back here as we look from the back of Ryan Johnson's truck. He's sitting there trying to make his way up into that top 5 in the individual side of the standings. So he's got a lot to race for. There's so many different ways that you have to attack this race in the early going. And oh, by the way, this is a track that shreds up tires pretty good. And you got to keep in mind about how you're going to be conserving these tires as well. A handful for these truckers here tonight.
Yeah, so this is just a reminder of how this cut line looks coming into Kentucky. So Bobby Anderson feeling good so far, running 6th and running with these JW boys. So he's probably just going to kind of follow in their tracks. Probably not a bad move considering how well they've been running here lately. So we'll see if Bobby Anderson can remain up there. But Andrew Harris still running in 2nd. Got to imagine that he has pushed Lane Doyle out of the top 5, if anyone. So that is by any means unofficial. Brandon and Sean are by far the number crunchers here.
Well, the one I'm looking at right now is Sean Jensick. Remember, Andrew Harris picked up a bonus point for leading a lap, so that kind of cuts his number down an extra point there, so make it a 13-point gap, and he is currently sitting where is Sean at? 16th place. That's 14 places right there. That would put Sean Jensick now behind Andrew Harris. Now, there's other drivers, of course, factoring in, but that's something that you got to be mindful of if you're in that 29.
Yeah, that's just, he's got that in mind, and I'm sure he's got a spotter and letting him know where each and every driver in this playoff standings are. But right now, Bobby Anderson trying to work on by the 47 of Lane Doyle and trying to do it on the outside. He's going to try and get some air on that rear spoiler here. Maybe get a little side draft going into turn 1. But the 18 with a new sponsor on board and kind of a tribute to the jet truck driver that unfortunately died not too long ago at the airport crash. So that's a really good-looking truck. Unfortunately, I can't remember his name.
Now I feel like I'm on the spot. I'm
not asking you. But no, it's a good-looking truck, yeah. Yeah,
great-looking race truck out there, and nice new sponsor there with Dubby. We got another entry in the Energy Wars here.
That's
so I think that's about half the field, and maybe next season we're just going to see about 10 teams with 10 different energy drink sponsors out there. But, yeah, I mean, we're seeing a lot of energy drivers, and a lot of those energy drivers have the well, pun intended, energy to get out towards the front. So we're seeing a lot of playoff drivers right now. 8 of the top 10 all sitting inside the playoffs in this round of 10 right now. Brad Herman and Sean Jensick, the lone examples out of that top 10, running 13th and 15th respectively.
I always appreciate a good pun. You know that. So I'll take him anytime you got him. But right now, this lead has shrunk quite a bit. Andrew Harris right to the bumper now of that 13 of Landon Cardullo, and we are under caution. Looks like Daniel Park. Oh, and Rob Yost.
Rob Yost. AJ Pritchett in the 14. That's going to have a lot of team championship implications here, because you do have Pritchett and Park both on Dark Tank, Yost on Zoo Yost, all in that same 2-3 matchup, so a heavy hit involving that side of the team bracket.
So let's go ahead, cue up that Sparkle and Shine mobile detailing rec replay, figure out exactly what just happened. Some big-time damage for a few of these guys.
Well, we got 3 wide. Rob Yost on the apron. Not a whole lot of room there. If you're kind of on that apron, and it does kind of shove you up the racetrack, and not a whole lot of room there to go 3 wide on that entry. And I do not envy the admins on this one. That's a tough one there, because there's not a whole lot anybody could really do. You could say that Pritchett could give a little bit more room in the middle, but he's also got to be mindful of Park on the outside at the same time. That, to me, just looks like racing, going 3 wide there into turn 1 as these tires start to wear. Just a really tough situation. I think if anybody's going to get it, it might be that 14 in the middle. But, yeah, that's a tough one right there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that would probably go down as a racing incident. And unfortunately, I don't think anyone is at fault there. So nobody probably going to get a penalty there, but some big-time damage. And there it is for Rob Yost. That is going to be a lengthy stop on pit road. But we got pit stops for the whole field happening right now, each and every truck coming down pit road.
Everybody on pit road. You see Ryan Johnson in pit stall number 1, Andrew Harrison 2, the race leader, Landon Cardullo, and that bright blue Glitch Energy truck in pit stall number 3. It's a tight race out, and I think it's going to be Cardullo, and he will get to that cone first. Johnson second, Harris third, Park fourth, and Lane Doyle rounding out the top 5 off pit road.
Yeah, watching the race throughout the rest of the field there. Sean Jensick coming out in 14, so he picked up a few spots. Brad Herman coming out in 15th. He's going to be the lowest running playoff driver as it stands currently. So Landon Cardullo feeling good about his chances so far. He's going to need a little help in the process, but came into the race knowing what was on the line and what he needed to do, and that was flat out win. He hasn't done so all season, which is out of the norm for Landon after his rookie campaign last year. Yet to get a W here with the arrival of Ryan Johnson, who's kind of just stuck up the field, you could say, and taking them all here lately. So Landon trying to get one here tonight, looking good so far in that 13.
Yeah, looking really good. And that 18-point gap, it's now down to 16 points trying to catch Lane Doyle just because of leading a lap. And he's in position right now. If the race were to end at this moment, he would have the most laps led, as he's now led since lap number 4 and has held on to that pretty strong. So Cardulo setting himself up. Remember, you win, that's 3 extra bonus points as well. And then everything else goes from 40 for first, 39 for second, a point down all the way through. So that's going to be a tough situation. And there you see it on the bottom. Race admins putting that on the 9 of Rob Yost Jr. For that caused caution. And what that tells me is they're going to be a little bit strict on if you go down to the apron, you have to be responsible for getting yourself up onto the racetrack safely. That's going to be how I interpret that ruling. I'm not sure if that's exactly accurate, but that's the most likely thing it seems like.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. So Rob is going to already be back there. So really no damage dealt to the number 9 machine. Looks like he got some damage fixed there. Spent a lot of time on pit road, but the handling on that truck going to be pretty much shot. So Daniel Park, who was his competition in that butt kicker hard charger race, was also involved in that too. So not too much damage done there as well, as far as those standings go. So the pace car lights are off. We're going to get this thing kicked back on lap number 18. We're going to get it kicked off here, and it is going to be a good one. Now Landon Cardulo out in front on that outside lane. He's going to have to hold off Ryan Johnson there in the 48. Pace car drops down pit road, and that Silverback Tax Solutions green flag is back waving here again.
Man, nice launch there for the 13 of Landon Cardulo. Looked like a little bit of tire spin for Ryan Johnson on that inside line of the 48, and Jonathan Byer goes around through the infield, and we got a caution immediately out on the racetrack.
So he saves it, and I don't think any damage done there. It's the number
That is a
66,
fortuitous caution. You normally don't see a caution that comes out for spinning onto the infield like that at that point in the racetrack, but for Jonathan Byer's sake, that is a tremendous break that caution came out.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and see what happened once again on the Sparkle and Shine Mobile Detailing Wreck Replay. He was starting P number 6 here. Might have just been a kind of an accordion effect. Started behind Ben Park. Ben getting a little bit of a slower start. Oh, it just comes down over the 47's bumper. Goes for a little ride. You're exactly right. You don't usually see the cautions happen down there.
No, not for a single car spin off the racing surface. So big break there for Jonathan Byer, though I do think he's going to wind up in the back of the field. I don't think there's a reason to think that the cause caution won't be given to him on that one. There wasn't really anything Lane Doyle could do there. But what it does do is it's going to keep him bunched up with the rest of the field. So he's not going to be about 20 seconds back, which is probably where he would have been if that caution didn't come out. He's going to be still sitting there with the main pack, but he's still going to be sitting in what looks like probably the 29th position by the end of this.
So nothing changing there. Obviously a quick yellow flag to start off that restart. So we're going to go ahead and step aside, run a quick commercial break, and come right back with our third restart of the night. Don't go anywhere.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Silverback Tax Solutions specializes in dealing with IRS tax problems. If you are receiving threatening letters from the IRS, or if the IRS has placed liens or levies on your property, Silverback Tax Solutions can help you find relief. We have worked with hundreds of people to resolve their tax problems. If you're behind on filing your taxes, it's never too late to get on the right track. Silverback Tax Solutions can help with that also. Don't let another night go by where you lose sleep worrying about the IRS or your taxes. Head over to www.silverbacktacks.com or call 662-996-4357 and contact an enrolled agent today. We can help you gain peace of mind and deal with those problems for you.
Want to be a part of an established league on iRacing? A league that's competitive, fun, and above all fair? Look no further than Speed Racing Network. Originally known as Mid-South Madness, SRN has evolved into a league that can bring the best out in any given driver. Drivers work their way up through the ranks to hopefully one day call themselves a champion of Speed Racing Network. If you're interested in joining, don't hesitate to reach out to league admins to claim your spot today. Maybe you'll end up in the history books. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor in Speed Racing Network, feel free to head over to www.speedracingnetwork.com and reach out to an admin today. And as always, remember to go faster.
All right, well, back out here. Pace car lights still on here, so a lengthy caution for our second caution of the night, but still, you said only one DNF so far. It looks like AJ Pritchett going to take the truck, pack it up, and go home for the night. So still looking like, no, looks like Rob Yost might have packed up as well. No, he's actually coming back out of pit road. So still 29 trucks in this thing here and still 75 laps to go. Good racing, though, on that first, what was it, 16 laps, Brandon, that we had? It was really good racing up front. And, yeah, just a little bit of a mishap there. I think Beyer might have thought he was clear there, and the 47 sent him across his nose. But I think these boys are going to get it shaped up. We saw an all-green flag race last night. I think we're going to see it happen here from on out.
Yeah, it's very possible. You just got to get spread out. What we saw last night is once that field kind of got single file and stretched out a bit, it really opened up the racetrack. And here with 29 trucks left on the track, that is very possible to see, but we got to get to that point where they can actually get stretched out. The other thing to keep in mind here, too, is we're getting pretty close to where this might just be one more pit stop for these trucks. So we might actually see a little bit of strategy and possibly see some guys try to gamble this thing and see if they might be able to stretch it out and really throw a grenade into the point standings.
Oh, that does sound pretty enticing. I'm intrigued. I always love a little bit of fuel strategy out there, and I think you're exactly right. They're probably right on that line where they can maybe make it on one stop, so we'll see if they can do it. But Landon Cardulo going to be restarting once again on the outside. He's got Ryan Johnson to the inside, Andrew Harris, Ben Park there in row number 2, and Lane Doyle, his teammate Trevor Williams there in row 3. So the pace car drops on down pit road, and that's Silverback Tax Solutions. Green flag is going to be waving once again here in Kentucky.
And that looks almost identical to the restart that we saw last time. Cardulo with a great jump on the outside. The inside line led by Ryan Johnson. He kind of spun the tires just a little bit, trying to keep up with Cardulo when he got the jump. And that kind of backed up that inside line, but we keep it clean all the way through 1 and 2 this time.
As they come racing right at you here on the backstretch. 29 trucks fanning out throughout the field. Looks like Landon Cardulo, though, starting to maybe put some distance as those two behind him go side by side. Andrew Harris trying to get on by Ryan Johnson. He's not going to put up much of a fight, so Johnson moves back to third. Side by side behind him, though, with Ben Park and Trevor Williams there in the 46. Both of these guys have looked pretty racy early on in the starts. Andrew Harris and Ben Park, that is. Andrew right to the bumper of the 13.
Yeah, he's getting there pretty quickly, and what we saw in that first run, it was only about 16 laps, but the first 5 laps of that run, Andrew Harris really had a lot of speed in that 87 Chevy, but it was the 13 Toyota of Landon Cardulo that kind of handled that transition as those tires started to wear out just a little bit. You got that initial fall off. He handled it the best throughout that first run, an abbreviated, let's say a mid-length run there, but now Andrew Harris trying to use that momentum here on this early run, see if he can take it back out front.
So pretty much just pushing him down the backstretch there, letting it off a little earlier in the turn so he can get back in it. He's going to get a good run out of 4 and try push the 13 back down the front straightaway, though. Single filing out, though, from about first on back to 12th. But, man, it is kind of a hornet's nest back here where Brad Herman is. Like we said, you do not want to be racing in the traffic like this when you need a pretty much perfect night.
No, and one of the things we love about this racetrack and the trucks and these mile-and-a-half D-shaped, the style of racetrack, I should say, in the trucks, is that it does bunch up, especially in the mid-pack. What you don't love, if you're one of these playoff drivers trying to make your way up into the top 5 and you're in the mid-pack, is that these trucks and this track combination bunches up the field in the middle of the pack. It is just a wild mess back there from about 10th on back, and Brad Herman kind of stuck right in the middle, as is Sean Jensick right in front of him. So the points leader in this mess as well.
Yeah, so Jensick currently up to 13th, Herman running in 14th, Beyer the lowest running playoff driver back there in 13th. But we got a battle here for the lead. Harris going to the outside of Landon Cardullo, trying to take it away, using that speed and momentum there. But he is going to lead the lap there in the 87, but a drag race down to turn 1.
Yeah, so give Harris lap number 28. He'll lead for the second time here tonight, trying to see if he can maybe grab that most laps led bonus point, which currently is being held by Landon Cardullo, who led the last 24 laps before it. But Cardullo with a nice run down to the inside in 3 and 4. He's going to have that initial speed dropping down to the inside, the shorter way around that racetrack. But we saw how that momentum played out on the outside last time. This time it is a near photo finish to the stripe, but give that spot to Landon Cardullo.
Yeah, great battle up here up front. Nobody wanting to give up, though, here. Cardullo wanting to lead as many laps as he can here tonight, not wanting anybody else to lead him because he needs it. He needs every bonus point he can get here tonight. He's got to get that clean bonus point, that lap-led bonus, as well as the most laps led. So why not scoop up the win one, too, and have yourself a day here in the 13, make some people sweat, and he's doing just that, turning lap number 30 here, but it's got to be nervous with how close that 87 is. Both these guys racing hard for this lead here. Ben Park back there in 3rd.
Yeah, I mean, and coming into this race, Andrew Harris a point away from that 5th position and the transfer spot to Homestead. Landon Cardullo 18 points away. With where they are, the only points that they can't collect would be the pole bonus, so the 2 points there. They can max out at 46 points here in this race, so there's a lot still up to grab for these guys. They're fighting for every point that they can get, and we're seeing them really use up their stuff trying to stay out front here as we're about a third of the way through this race.
Yeah, so just about 2 tenths behind Cardullo. That's going to be the gap for Andrew Harris, sitting 1 point back of that cut line. See what other battles we have happening back here. We'll check in on Lane Doyle. He's back a little bit further here in 6th place. Got Lucas Lyons behind him. Said that he wanted to run well here tonight. This is his home track here at Kentucky Speedway, so that 7's going to be looking up to pick some spots. He's already picked up 9 here so far this evening, so great night so far. Lucas has run strong here lately, but unfortunately come into trouble and not finishing the races, so maybe tonight's the night he gets the result.
Yeah, had some time out front last week at Nashville, and he's really put together some good runs. He's been one of those drivers, and I know it almost comes off a little negative, but he's one of those hot, cold drivers. When he's hot, he's really hot out there on the racetrack, but when things go wrong, it really kind of hits him pretty hard and really cools off any momentum that he's got. So it's just one of those things where he's kind of have that roller coaster at times. Right now, putting together one of those really strong runs, though. You pointed out +9 on the race. I think that's the 2nd most positions gained thus far for any driver out there. I believe Jose Castellanos currently with the most at +11. But Lyons put together a really strong run, and right in front of him is Lane Doyle. And we talked about Andrew Harris being a point out. The man that was a point ahead of Harris and in that bubble spot is Lane Doyle, but he's sitting there seeing Harris out in front of him, and I don't know if he's got enough spots over Sean Jensick right now to feel safe himself.
Yeah, so the 47 feeling a lot of pressure right now, knows what's on the line. I wonder if that will be transmitted through their crew chief and owner, Ryan or Justin Ride, out there, and kind of see if they get him out in front of his teammates there. Ryan Johnson now up to 3rd as he just made the pass on Ben Parks, and the 48 starting to move his way on up as we get further on in this green flag run. Usually lets a few guys go on by and takes care of his tires at the early onset of the runs, but that is go time for the 48 as he gets by the 8 and starts this run down this first place battle between Cardullo and Harris.
Yeah, he's sitting in a really comfortable spot right now, and he's got some gap in front of him, a decent amount of gap behind him. So this is going to be really the first time, I think, that Ryan can kind of sit there and feel a little comfortable at the moment. But Ben Park not wanting to give up that third position too quickly.
Oh,
and we got one up in the wall. Lucas Lyons, yeah. Doesn't look like too much damage on the right side, but definitely killed the momentum on that 7 truck for a little bit, and might take about a half lap to kind of regenerate that speed.
Yeah, you saw Michael Madden go on by as well as Bobby Anderson, so he moves back to 9th. But, yeah, it's just the bad luck like that. Taking a little bit more than was there here at Kentucky Speedway. And you're right, not too bad as far as damage goes. I think he will be just fine in that number 7 Chevy Silverado. So further on back in the pack, Blair Holloman battling here with Jacob Zala. Blair Holloman is that Tier 2 championship leader who just took the lead from Jacob Zala. So a big battle here for that Tier 2 championship.
Absolutely, and they're looking not too far ahead of them and seeing Ben Park running in the 4th spot. He's 3rd in the Tier 2 standings, so big-time implications here when it comes to that. Jose Castellanos in this mix as well as Lucas Lyons right in front of him. They're 7th for Jose, 4th for Lucas in those standings, so we're seeing a big run right now when it comes to that Tier 2 side of the things right now.
And riding on board with Blair Holloman here, and you can see what it's like getting through traffic, having to pick your spots as he makes the move to the inside of Jose Castellanos and is going to try and get to the outside of the 75 here. Hard to pick your spots and hit them just right because you got guys behind you, too, that are hoping you make a mistake. Look at this. I mean, each and every one of these guys, it's almost like pack racing here at Kentucky.
Yeah, there's a lot of drafting around this racetrack and these trucks because, Blair up into the wall. Pretty decent there. Pretty good shot into that outside wall coming into turn 1. But I think he got down to the inside quick enough that he didn't lose a whole lot of momentum there. That was a lucky break for him. Sometimes that wall kind of sucks you in and really kind of pulls you back and almost like a parachute. He didn't really have that effect. So he's going to move to the inside of Jacob Zala and try to take this position away, and that'll move him up to position number 10 on the racetrack, but still side by side.
And they got Lucas Lyons, who just got into the wall not too long ago, just in front of them. Oh, and they turn! And Zala's kind of disappears there. Connection goes out, but smoke coming out from the 06. Big time damage for the Tier 2 championship leader.
And I think that's going to be huge for the top 2 in the Tier 2 standings. I'm not sure if we're going to see netcode or what because of the connection issues that Jacob Zala was obviously having for a little bit there. He's already on pit road with heavy front end damage. That engine looks like it is done. Blair Holloman, he's got significant front-end damage as well. I'm wondering how much that connection issue is going to be a factor in this one.
Well, checking it out from the blimp, we saw it happen live, but this is a little bit of a better angle here. Yeah, netcode sends him spinning, and then you see it there. The camera loses him, and it sends him straight to pit road. Blair Holloman, there he is, gets the damage there. Unfortunate. Let's take another look at that. I want to go a little bit closer here and see just how bad. Uncle Netcode has come back from vacation, unfortunately, folks, and he's not been happy lately. This is not going to be a good one here. Yeah, I just think that I don't even know if they would have made contact, but still, nonetheless, the damage has been done. Both of those trucks, big-time hits.
Yeah, that was big on the 06 and the 75. Actually, I think Brad Herman might have caught a little piece of that on the follow-through as well. That could have some huge playoff implications there. Not too sure about his damage. Trying to take a look at his truck on my second screen right now. It doesn't look too bad, but might have caught a piece of it. But everybody back down on pit road as they are making their first pit stop since 25 laps ago. Not a whole lot of green flag laps out there on these tires, but they're all diving down. And it's going to be tight if they can make it the rest of the way. I don't think they'll be able to from here.
Yeah, and I think that's just going to make it even more exciting because who's going to actually come down and pit? Who's going to stay out and try to trap people laps down? It's going to be really fun to see exactly what strategies are played out. I think we're going to see a few of those guys like Landon Cardullo possibly stay out long. What do you think about that, Brandon? Because I'm curious now. He's got a great truck here tonight. Do you gamble coming in early from the lead and maybe risk having a caution come out while you're a lap down, or do you stay out and maybe hope for a caution and then have the greener tires when everybody's running out?
That's a tough one. I think the way that this race has played out, we've seen 3 cautions, but they've kind of been pretty sporadic, and you can kind of throw out the restart caution because that was kind of an outlier in all this. So there's been some decent runs here under green. We saw 16, I believe this time we saw 19 or 20. I'm not too sure I bank on a caution coming out. If I'm Landon Cardulo, I'm thinking I need every point I can. I'm trying to stay out there and trying to feel when everybody else is coming down. I don't want to be the first one down pit road and try to undercut everybody else if I'm still leading this thing, but I'm trying to get the most laps led and really help myself out. So I think he's going to wind up staying out there. That's probably how I would approach it in this situation, and it's totally just from a point implication side of things because he's got to get every single point that he can.
Well, don't go anywhere. We got a few more laps to run off here under caution. We're going to run a quick commercial break. In the meantime, we'll be right back with that Silverback Tax Solutions green flag.
Silverback Tax Solutions specializes in dealing with IRS tax problems. If you are receiving threatening letters from the IRS, or if the IRS has placed liens or levies on your property, Silverback Tax Solutions can help you find relief. We have worked with hundreds of people to resolve their tax problems. If you're behind on filing your taxes, it's never too late to get on the right track. Silverback Tax Solutions can help with that also. Don't let another night go by where you lose sleep worrying about the IRS or your taxes. Head over to www.silverbacttax.com or call 662-996-4357 and contact an enrolled agent today. We can help you gain peace of mind and deal with those problems for you.
Want to be a part of an established league on iRacing? A league that's competitive, fun, and above all fair? Look no further than Speed Racing Network. Originally known as Mid-South Madness, SRN has evolved into a league that can bring the best out in any given driver. Drivers work their way up through the ranks to hopefully one day call themselves a champion of Speed Racing Network. If you're interested in joining, don't hesitate to reach out to league admins to claim your spot today. Maybe you'll end up in the history books. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor in Speed Racing Network, feel free to head over to www.speedracingnetwork.com and reach out to an admin today. And as always, remember to go faster.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Well, all right. The pace car lights are off, Brandon. We're going to get this thing kicked off for the 4th restart of the night. And just in time, we're almost at that halfway mark. It's go time here.
Definitely is going to see a whole lot of different strategies in the pacing. Going to see a whole lot of different strategies on pit road, and almost like different supermarkets in different regions. There's going to be a whole lot of different ways you can approach this thing the rest of the way.
Yeah, we were kind of talking about that in a commercial break. If you could only queue up the things we talk about during the commercial break, it would be just as entertaining as the race here is tonight. We were just talking about that as well. A great race here after 45 laps. Landon Cardulo gets a good restart, gets out to a couple trucks lengths between him in that second place battle between Andrew Harris and Ryan Johnson. So I think we're going to see a lot of the same here. I think Andrew Harris might come away with this as Ryan Johnson tends to take it easier earlier on in the runs.
Yeah, and at some point, you got to be thinking this race is going to stretch out beyond these 16, 19 lap green flag runs. Just because of the nature of this style of racetrack, once you get a little bit of a gap, this thing can go pretty green, and I think that's what some of these guys are banking on that are taking it a little bit more cautiously. But if you're an Andrew Harris, if you're a Landon Cardulo, you got to throw caution to the wind. You got to go for it here tonight, and they are absolutely doing that as they have led all but one lap between the two of them thus far.
So loving all the scenic cameras around this beautiful 1.5 mile oval with the green walls here, like you mentioned earlier. I love this track. It is so fun, and Landon Cardulo loving it as well, as we are hitting that halfway mark in this race. Has led the most laps to this point and has led a lap clean race. He's got each and every bonus point locked up to this point, but still needs to go a few more laps out in front before he can actually clinch that extra point for most laps led. But 18 points back coming into this thing. Cardulo doing what he's got to do.
Oh my. But no, to back up your point and hopefully move on by that one. But yeah, I mean, he's sitting there right now. If this race were to end right now, he'd have 46 points on the day. Sean Jensick right now is sitting in the 13th position. That would give him 27. And that is a 19-point difference right there. He would be ahead of Sean Jensick. Now the question's going to be, where do Andrew Harris, where do Brad Herman, where do Bobby Anderson, all these other drivers, where do they factor into this thing? And that might actually keep Landon out of the picture. And oh, by the way, a couple of these quiet movers throughout the field is Michael Madden sitting in position number 7. We haven't mentioned him all night, but he's had a very smooth night. Brad Herman starting to make an appearance up here as well. He's moved his way up to position 9.
Yeah, we talked to Michael last week in his post-race interviews, and knowing him for as long as I have, I knew he was looking forward to this race tonight here at Kentucky. He's really good, really methodical, and doing just that here tonight, slowly moving up to 7th, but still a lot of time to get up to the front. I expect that 15 to keep making progress here, but this battle up front not going anywhere for Landon Cardulo. He's still just holding on and just taking away the lanes at the 87 once, I think. He can't go anywhere to make the pass.
Yeah, it's really interesting watching how he's really mirror driving, and normally you'll see that, 10, 15 laps to go, you'll start seeing that kind of thing, but we're halfway through this race and Landon's doing it because he's trying to protect that laps led position out there. And let's see, he regained this lead on lap 29. That's going to be another 23 laps right now. He's at 47 laps led. Give him another couple laps, he'll be clinching that bonus point for the most laps led. I'm wondering if he maybe takes it a little bit easy after that. Maybe just lets Andrew by if he starts pushing him again and just kind of sets back and saves some of those tires a little bit.
Side-by-side battle back here. Jonathan Byer trying to make his way back up through the field, up to 20th after that incident earlier that sent him spinning through the end field. So making up some progress, but still I think it was mathematically out of the question for the 66 to move on after only not having a full field here tonight. So I don't think he's going to be able to make up the points he needs, but still finishing on a good end here in season 3 is going to be what Jonathan Byer is going to want to do. He can't go into the offseason on a bad note, so he's got to get it back up there.
And this has been a big season for him personally, with a lot going on with college and everything like that. And so it's been a good run here. Obviously, the performance and the results on the racetrack haven't quite been as strong as they were last season, where he really put together a heck of a season, and I think he had the most points out of anybody overall, if you take the playoffs out of consideration in that. So, I mean, it was going to kind of be a step backwards there from that point. You couldn't really go any farther, but I mean, he had a really solid season here this season. It just kind of got overshadowed by what he did last year.
Yeah, so Byer back there in 20th, but we just had a pass for 5th here. Ben Park moving on by Trevor Williams, so the 8 moving back up. He's up 4 positions from where he began the night in 9th. So Ben Park looking to maybe make up some ground on this Tier 2 championship after the 2 leaders back there in 28th and 29th now. This is the time to take advantage of that.
Yeah, right now Ben Park going to be sitting there gaining what's going to be about 23 points. That's going to put him right back in the running. And both the drop weeks for Holloman and Zala are a 30th place finish. That's not going to change, running in 28th and 29th right now. So they're going to be taking this big hit right now here in this race. So that's a big 23-point makeup right there. Ben Park, if he picks up another spot or two, could see himself leading the Tier 2 standings going into Homestead.
And probably did not expect to hear that coming into this thing, but knows probably what's on the line now after seeing those 2 get into it not too long ago. He's taking a look to the inside of Lane Doyle now in that 47.
A nice run to the inside. You normally don't see that big of a momentum push against somebody on the outside, but he had a really good exit down low. Still got some pretty fresh tires under these trucks at about 14 laps. This is about where that fall-off's going to start hitting, and there's the outside momentum there, pulling Doyle right past Ben Park and getting him out of trouble there in that race for fourth. Trevor Williams going to try to take a peek, but not going to be there as Park slams the door.
Yeah, he is right on the bumper there in that 46, riding right behind this number 8, sponsored by Hunterdon Anesthesia Associates. So Dark Tank Racing looking to also take advantage of Zuyost's mishaps too. I mean, you got to take into consideration Blair Holloman, Troy Techmeyer, AJ Pritchett, 27th, 28th. And then you got Rob Yost, he's back there in 26th. So Zuyost not kind of like that as far as the team championship standings. I think it's going to be a very tight finish here between Dark Tank and Zuyost.
Yeah, I mean, you have Ben Park right now sitting inside that top 5 position. The problem that they have there is I'm looking to see where he's going to get any help. This is kind of turning into Ben Park trying to hold off Brad Herman, but beyond that, I don't know if that gap is really going to be made up because you got Dan Park sitting in the 23rd position at the moment. AJ Pritchett out in 30th, and I don't see anybody else out there for them. So it's kind of, it almost sets up perfectly, but Brad Herman doing a great job protecting that team side of the battle while he's also trying to race his way into that top 5.
Yeah, we'll see if anything happens. We know how these races can get shaken up here. Saw a battle between Nathan Nixon and Lucas Lyons. Jason Crackey also involved in the mix here too, but Lucas Lyons got the damage fixed on the right side of that truck and looking to maybe move back up through the field. I mean, he was running 7th at the time that he got into the wall, but you could tell it definitely affected the handling on that truck through the turns. Looks a little tight in that 7 now as he loses another position to Nathan Nixon.
Yeah, there's probably still, I mean, you can do the optional repairs, you can do the required repairs, but it's still not going to make that truck perfect. It's not going to make it what it was. Oh, wow, real tight there on that run on the inside. And that could be a combination of the aero damage. That could be just getting into some dirty air. Got real loose there as he dove down onto the apron trying to block the run of Nick Helda just behind him in the JW Racing truck. And oh, by the way, back up towards the front, Ben Park making a move to the outside of Lane Doyle for 4th.
Yeah, Ben Park still trying to move up through the field. He's got Trevor Williams back there in 6th, too. The lap truck of Rob Yost down there in the 9 machine. He's going to try and let these guys go on by as they go on by here on turn number 4. But look at that 15 starting to creep up in the mix here, as well as Brad Herman back there in the 85. So all of these guys looking to make their way into the top 5. Brad Herman coming into this thing 4 points back. He needs a top 5, if anything, here tonight.
I just looked at the left side of the screen, and all of a sudden it is all green inside that top 10. Aside from Ben Park, 9 of the top 10 inside the playoffs. Now Jose Castellanos kind of ruining that one as I was in the middle of that point.
There you go.
There you go again. Sean Jensick making his way into the top 10 for the first time tonight. So everybody's showing up. But what that does is that makes it a nightmare scenario for guys like Harris, Herman, Anderson, Cardulo, guys that needed a little bit of help.
Yep.
They're not going to get much of it right now because the only one out of that top 10 is Jonathan Byer, who was 10th in the point standings already.
Yeah, Sean Jensick, who was leading the points and had 14 points on the cut line. He is that driver down there in 10th. So, yeah, I'm not really seeing any mathematical chance for any of these guys right now. I mean, now Anderson back there in 10th. He came into this race 5 points back of the cut line. He is going to need to get by and maybe win this thing at this point with the way it's running. Brad Herman, 4 points back. All the guys he needed to get by are in front of him currently. And then Andrew Harris, I think, has the best chance of maybe moving on right now. Has that bonus point for leading the lap, running 2nd. Lane Doyle back here in 5th and currently battling his teammate here, Trevor Williams.
Yeah, I was doing a little bit of quick table math. Right now, it would be Andrew Harris above that cut line. Lane Doyle would be the one behind that cut line. And I believe he would be in position number 6 right now in those point standings. Because as you pointed out, Andrew Harris does have that bonus point. A couple of positions ahead. There was only 1 point separating them as Lucas Lyons back down on pit road. And this could be strategy. It could also be how tight that truck was.
A battle for second here between Ryan Johnson and Andrew Harris. The 48 and 87 going side by side into turn number 3 here. It looks like Ryan Johnson going to take that second position away and start trying to run down Landon Cardulo, who's gotten out to a pretty healthy lead, 1.2 seconds for the 13.
And as that lead has grown, so has his point situation, because he did wrap up that bonus point for the most laps led here in this race. He's now led 62 of the 65 completed laps. Excuse me, 61 of the 65 completed laps thus far. Nobody going to be able to catch that 13 in that one, but he still needs a win, still needs a little bit of help as well to try to advance the Homestead.
Not sure if you could see the chat, but Jacob Zala giving us an update saying he's been cleared from the medical center. So good to hear, Jacob. Unfortunately, your night is over after a little bit of net code there. So maybe your teammate here, Landon Cardulo, comes away with the win and kind of helps that out a little bit. So we'll see if he can maintain it. But, yeah, we've seen maybe last pit stops kick off there with Lucas Lyons coming down not too long ago. So we'll keep an eye on some battles going on through the field. Michael Madden currently in 7th. Brad Herman's gotten by him, though, in 6th.
Yeah, that's a really interesting race there. Michael Madden, he's been, we barely talked about him in the pre-race show. We've barely touched on him here in this race at all, but sitting there in that 7th position, he was plus 13 entering this race, so he's exactly where he needs to be to move on. Brad Herman, he still needs a little bit of work, 4 points out entering this race, and he's still 1 spot behind Lane Doyle. That's going to keep him away from it. Andrew Harris ahead of him as well. So even with this 6th place run right now, Brad Herman still could be looking at maybe a 7th position in the point standings, leaving this race if it ended right now.
Yeah, so he is not liking his position after, winning the championship last year. He wants to go to Homestead with an opportunity to go back-to-back and defend his title. Wow, Nick Halda gets in there deep on Nathan Nixon. This battle for 12th place here between the 98 and the 49. Nothing given, though. Side by side down the back straightaway. Jose Castellanos just in front of him. So Hada trying to make some progress on through the field, help out his JW Racing teammates there in the 49, maybe come away with the top 10 here tonight.
Definitely could. And a little bit ago we were talking about strategy and how Landon Cardulo might approach this thing. I'm starting to look at who would be the one that could jump the field and maybe try to short pit this thing and see what happens and maybe try to catch everybody off guard. These two might not be a bad shout. Brad Herman especially might not be a bad play. I'm actually looking back in position number 10. I think Bobby Anderson might be the one that tries the undercut here. He's 5 points back, but he's sitting there 9th in this race among the playoff drivers. He's kind of in that position that if somebody's going to gamble, it might be him.
Yeah, we'll see. Somebody's going to do it, and you got to do it. You got to take those chances to maybe pick up some time. You're going to see just the other way, too. You're going to see people opt to stay out as long as they can. With 25 laps to go, you see that hashtag go faster, and that's exactly what these two are battling here. They are veterans. They are used to racing each other, and they are racing very tightly here through turns 3 and 4. But just behind them, Brandon, not sure if you know too much about this, but I got a little bit of a tidbit here for the 46 machine, and I believe he just got married not too long ago, if I'm correct. I'm trying to pull up the message here from his teammate. Yeah, he got married last weekend, and
Hey.
I was told I should give him a shout-out for his new bride, who is somehow letting him, or okay with him taking time to race tonight on their honeymoon. So the 46,
wow.
a little preoccupied, but that just goes to show how important this championship is to these guys.
Wow, that is a risky move right there. But, man, more power to you, and a heck of a keeper of a wife there to let him do that.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable. But we were just talking about it, and that's a nice little segue. We're just talking about strategy. Sean Jensick, the points leader, is the one that's going to be the first playoff driver down pit road.
Yeah, so shout out to Jessica Williams. But yeah, Sean Jensick, you're exactly right. That's going to bring other people down. Andrew Harris locking him up coming down pit road.
That's going to be tight. We might want to keep an eye on him, see if he gets a penalty. Think he got that thing slowed up just in time. Didn't look like there was too much change in speed. Once he got those things locked up and past that cone, think he should be all right. But that We saw it last night with Joseph Causey. He trapped himself a lap down because of a pit road speeding on entry. See if anybody can avoid that here again tonight.
Here comes our leader, Landon Cardulo, coming down pit road. He's going to get it woed up and maybe lose some time. It looks like he took it kind of easy, which is what you typically see from race leaders. And Ryan Johnson, that was probably the best time for the 13 to come down. He was running that 13 down. So Ryan Johnson going to go back out to the lead.
And with Ryan Johnson out in front for the second time tonight, he did pick up that lap lead, but that's not going to add anything point-wise. But what we've seen all season long, I don't think there's been anybody better in this truck series on pit entry. We'll see how he makes it work here. This one, a pretty gentle entry, but it comes up on you pretty quickly.
Ooh.
And he locks it up. He was pretty hot past that cone. Not sure if he got that thing slowed up in time.
I wonder if that just goes to show, Ryan Johnson knows he cannot afford any mistakes here tonight, so taking it easy, and still a little bit of a sketchy entry there coming in to the pits. So that's going to put the leader out to be the 18 in that W18 machine there. Bobby Anderson out in front of here, so we'll see how long it takes for him to come on down. Beyer, Kerr, and Daniel Park, the last 4 remaining trucks to come on down pit road. So more of an update on Trevor Williams, seeing the guy Chase Berry out in the chat saying he's actually borrowing his rig right now to race. So doing a good night, man, on borrowed equipment. Not bad for Trevor Williams. So once again, congratulations to Trevor. Best of luck here tonight. 19 laps to go for these guys. Anderson still remaining out there.
Yeah, Anderson, I thought he might be the one that was the first one to come down. He actually flipped it, and he's going to be the last playoff driver, aside from Jonathan Beyer.
I like it.
To come down pit road. Yeah, I mean, you got to do something different. My thought would have been to come in first. His thought is, I'm going to come in last of these guys still in contention to make it to this round, and that's going to give him a lot of back-end speed at the end of this race. Only thing you got to worry about is there's only 18 laps to go in this one, but in the process, he did pick up a lap lead, which does give him an extra bonus point.
Yeah, that's huge when you're sitting 5 points back. So that's going to cycle the lead out to this man. Jonathan Beyer out in front of this thing. 3 trucks that have yet to go down pit road. We're going to keep an eye on that battle that just went by them, though. Those 2 trucks, Michael Matt and Brad Herman, they can't seem to get away from each other right now.
They cannot, and that's going to be about the 7th position race right now. And one thing I just noticed actually on that pylon, Andrew Harris coming in a little bit before Landon Cardulo. Harris right now is going to cycle out to be the race leader. Actually, it's going to be Lucas Lyons and then Andrew Harris. Lyons, the first one down pit road, but Landon Cardulo going to take a peek down to the inside. This should cycle out for the lead here pretty soon.
Ooh, and this is going to be a slide job from the 13. He's going to come back up in front of the 87, but he's got Lucas Lyons there. Going to kind of kill the momentum out of turn 4. The 87 going to get right back in the draft on the bumper here, the 13, and they are going to be nose to tail entering turn 1.
And they just are not giving this up at all. And Andrew Harris, he's in a really golden position right now. I'm not too sure how hard I start putting into trouble, but you see the win right there. You see the lead right there in front of you. You got to go for it. It's that driver mentality. But, man, the big picture, he's sitting in a golden spot right now, too.
Yeah, once this thing cycles out, which it's going to here shortly, still have Beyer and Dan Park out there. So 2 drivers that have yet to come down pit road. Lane Doyle in the 47 is going to cycle out to 10th right now. So a nice gap for Harris and not what Doyle wants. Doyle staring down the very real possibility of falling out of these playoffs, I think.
Yeah, he's in danger right now, sitting there, and like you said, he's going to wind up around the 10th position. Brad Herman a couple of spots ahead. That gives him a little bit of life because he's still not that far behind Trevor Williams as well. So this thing's still wide open for about 9 drivers and trying to move to that final championship round where at Homestead, where it's going to be those 5 drivers going for it. Maybe more than that with how tight this thing's playing, how ties advance as well.
Yeah, we've seen plenty of ties here in SRN, and in the playoffs we saw one this year where we had 17 cars in the Cup Series with the playoff lucky dog and a tie. We've seen them in seasons past. Truck Series, their championship race had 6 drivers in it. So no surprise to see that here in SRN, and they've come down to these last races. We could very well see that here tonight if things do play out a certain way, but that is going to cycle the lead finally back out to Landon Cardulo out in front. Andrew Harris there in second. Ryan Johnson third. Ben Park in fourth. And Sean Jensick up to 5th.
Jensick working his way through, and he's now in a super comfortable position point-wise. Just has to keep that truck clean the rest of the way, and he'll be golden coming into this race. 14 points to the good. Michael Madden in a similar position from 13 points to the good. He's now running in the 6th position as he gets around Lucas Lyons, who's running on about 15 lap old tires right now. Brad Herman going to move by him as well for 7th. So those 3 drivers working their way very well through the field here in this race. And for 2 of them, it looks like that's going to be a very nice position for Brad Herman in 7th. He's still got a little bit of work to do.
So Sean Jensick, currently the butt kicker hard charger of the race, up 13 spots after starting 18th here, running 5th. And you're exactly right, probably feeling a lot better than he was not too long ago. So right now, Andrew Harris here, he's got a little bit of a visitor behind him. Ryan Johnson has come to play here, knows what's on the line with 12 laps to go, and he is digging right now in that 48 truck. He's going on to the inside of the 87.
And this is so interesting watching these guys in this position because you know where you are point-wise. You know if you're Ryan Johnson, you were 8 points to the good coming into this race. You finish in the top 3. You're pretty much locked in at that point no matter what anybody else does. If you're Andrew Harris, you're looking at, all right, where's Lane Doyle? Where's Ryan Johnson? Obviously, you know he's right in front of you. Where's Trevor Williams? He's sitting back there outside of the top 10 right now. So Harris sitting in a good position. It's one of those things of, do you look at the short picture? Do you have that driver mentality of, I can win this thing. I can get that second place finish. Or how hard do I want to push things? How hard do I want to save tires? So much balancing in these final 10 laps for these guys in this position around that cut line.
Yeah, so Doyle's starting to make his way up through the field. He's back there in 8th now. He's got Brad Herman just in front of him. But you're right, Andrew Harris has a little bit of breathing room at the moment. So Andrew might just be taking it easy for these last 10 laps in the 87. But it's got to stay on guard. Could have a caution at any moment here at Kentucky.
You certainly could, and this is going to be a really interesting battle now between Andrew Harris in 3rd, Lane Doyle in 8th. That's the one to watch right now. They were a point apart entering this race, basically make it a tie because Andrew Harris led a lap, Lane Doyle has not. So that's that bonus point right there. Put Andrew Harris in provisionally ahead of Lane Doyle, but we got 3 wide racing to figure out some of this stuff too. Brad Herman knows he has to go. He has to pick up positions. He's got to put that truck in some difficult spots. Michael Madden probably, that's the last thing he wants to see is being outside 3 wide.
Oh, and Zala there. I was not expecting to see him. He was slow on the high line there. Both get by Lepicki and Zala just fine. Doyle back there in the mix too, trying to run down Sean Jensick right here for 5th. But yeah, both of these guys racing really hard, which they've done so for probably the last 40 laps.
And right now, looking at it, if you're Jensick and you're Madden, is of course taking out anything crazy that could happen here on these last 7 laps. They would be in. Ryan Johnson would be in. It really comes down to 6 drivers for those final 2 spots. Andrew Harris, Brad Herman, Lane Doyle, Trevor Williams, and Bobby Anderson going to be the last ones trying to race their way in.
So 7 laps to go. Looks like this battle simmering down a little bit between the 85 and the 15, but we'll go back out in front where the 48 of Ryan Johnson is steadily running down the 13 at Cardulo.
Yeah, that 48, he's done a great job of saving those tires. You saw how hard Landon Cardulo was pushing it, trying to get back out in front, trying to stay ahead of Andrew Harris. He took that home run cut. He had to do that big swing, try to get out in front, see if he can build up a gap and hold off everybody else. The only one he's not pulling away from is Ryan Johnson right behind him.
Yeah, so right on his bumper, coming to the stripe to see 5 laps to go here at Kentucky, and 5 laps to maybe make your Hail Mary pass. He's going to need a little help here in these last 5 laps, but he, I think, just wants to win a race here this season for this 13, and he's got 5 laps to hold off probably one of the heaviest hitters we've seen here in Speed Racing Network, Ryan Johnson there in the 48.
Yeah, for Landon Cardulo, he's looking for his first win going back to last season. Ryan Johnson has picked up 7 since then. As he takes a look to the inside, they are nose to nose as they come off of turn 4. Momentum's going to go to the 13. He's going to stay just in front, not quite clear just yet, but he's still going to lead that lap with 4 to go.
Yeah, put a little bit of air on that spoiler, brought the 13 back, which is going to give 48 a little bit of a better entry there, but the 13 going to go ahead and cut off that inside lane, and he's going to go ahead and still maintain that position on the exit of 2 as they enter turn 3. Nose to tail, Landon Cardulo is going to come back to the stripe to see 3 laps to go before he claims his first win of the season here in Season 3.
4.5 miles left. It's a big run to the outside for Ryan Johnson. Yeah, that's a tough one, but he's going to get the momentum on the exit here coming off of turn 2 if he can stay with them. But Landon going to get that big run to the inside line, short way around the track. He's going to pull ahead by about a truck length and a half.
Yeah, if I'm out there, I'm thinking I'm taking the inside or the outside lane the whole time. If
nice
I'm making
crossover.
the pass here, and Landon seeming like he's confident with that inside lane in that 13 machine. Ryan going to really arc it up there high. Landon trying to get everything he can on the exit of 4. They're really tight side by side, coming to the stripe. 2 laps to go here at Kentucky.
And Landon Cardulo trying to pull out all the stops, trying to stop that 48 from making his way around. He's still to the outside of that 13 truck. Big momentum run coming this time. Landon going to try to squeeze him up towards the wall, but still enough of a run. Jacob Zola going to be a pick and Ryan Johnson around.
Yeah, that was not expected there, and I think Ryan thought he was clear of the 13, and Brandon, that is huge because Ryan only 8 points good of the cut line is going to fall way on back in the pack here.
Oh my goodness, and if there's a caused caution, who's it going to go on? That is a tough one right now, and all that was,
Well,
oh man, Jacob Zola, you knew what he was going for there. I'm not going to say that's a bad thing. He's got to pick a line. He stayed on that outside line. It just happened that was going to be a pick in a way for Ryan Johnson there on the outside, Landon Cardulo to the inside. It was going to help out a teammate, and it went all wrong, and it might take both of them out of the running depending on how that caution's called.
yeah, I'm curious to see. It still has Johnson scored as second, so not sure if he's going to have to drop back at all, so it could be not as bad as we originally thought. But let's go take a look here. This is the 48-13 battling off of 2, and you're going to see that 75 come into picture here slowly. And yeah, nothing wrong there for the 13. He was holding his ground. You can use those lap cars as a pick. The 48, not clear. You're right. I think this will be an interesting call by the admins.
Yeah, and if it's me, I'm tempted to say racing incident because they're trying to work their way around. Landon does nothing wrong. Ryan Johnson's trying to avoid the lapped car, thinks he's clear. I do not want to be the one in the booth having to make this call right now.
This could determine a season.
This definitely could. This can determine the entire championship landscape here, and it might give life to some guys in this one. But, I mean, you're looking at Landon Cardulo is going to be sitting there on pins and needles right now. Ryan Johnson, he's still being scored in the second position because they were so far ahead, and that's just a tough one right here.
Yeah, you can just see how quickly he was approaching the 75 there. Nowhere to go for the 48. Either way, that was going to end in a caution with how quickly they were approaching Jacob Zola.
Yes, and you know what? Big time credit to Ryan Johnson in that 48 because of how quickly he looped it around, kept it going straight. That might have just saved his season, pending on where this call goes on the cause caution.
Yeah, so it seems like they are still sorting that all out here. But while they do, we're going to step aside, run a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. This thing just heating up.
Silverback Tax Solutions specializes in dealing with IRS tax problems. If you are receiving threatening letters from the IRS, or if the IRS has placed liens or levies on your property, Silverback Tax Solutions can help you find relief. We have worked with hundreds of people to resolve their tax problems. If you're behind on filing your taxes, it's never too late to get on the right track. Silverback Tax Solutions can help with that also. Don't let another night go by where you lose sleep worrying about the IRS or your taxes. Head over to www.silverbacttax.com or call 662-996-4357 and contact an enrolled agent today. We can help you gain peace of mind and deal with those problems for you.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Want to be a part of an established league on iRacing? A league that's competitive, fun, and above all fair? Look no further than Speed Racing Network. Originally known as Mid-South Madness, SRN has evolved into a league that can bring the best out in any given driver. Drivers work their way up through the ranks to hopefully one day call themselves a champion of Speed Racing Network. If you're interested in joining, don't hesitate to reach out to league admins to claim your spot today. Maybe you'll end up in the history books. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor in Speed Racing Network, feel free to head over to www.speedracingnetwork.com and reach out to an admin today. And as always, remember to go faster.
Well, Brandon, the news has been handed down, and the 48 of Ryan Johnson, you see him there going to the back of the pack. He's been given the EOL by race admins.
Yeah, and you know what? The way it turned out, I think if there was going to be a caused caution, the only one it could be called on was the 48. You can't blame Landon Cardulo for holding his line. Jacob Zala held his line in front. Ryan Johnson, he had the option to slow down and avoid that as well and just move back to second place. Cut across wasn't quite clear, and my goodness, the implications of this is absolutely massive. He's going to move to the back of the lead lap, which puts him all the way down in 23rd place. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and you see all the guys running up there. I mean, all of our playoff drivers are in the top 15. He's got an 8-point advantage over the cut line. He's 8 positions behind Bobby Anderson alone, so the 48 is going to be on an absolute tear here once we get things kicked off. So unfortunate for Ryan Johnson, but we'll see if he's able to get it done. The Silverback Tax Solutions green flag is back out here. First attempt at a green-white checker.
Huge jump for Landon Cardulo. He's going to pull away by about 4/10 ahead of Andrew Harris. Brad Herman is now up to the 3rd position, trying to race his way into the playoff picture for that championship race. He might very well be ahead of that top 5, but still a long way to go in this overtime battle with a lot of guys having desperation mode.
Yeah, keep an eye on that 87. He cannot let the 47 of Lane Doyle by, as well as Brad Herman behind him. The 47 has to maintain, or excuse me, the 87 has to maintain that second if he has any chance of moving on. 1 lap to go here in Kentucky.
Next flag ends at caution or checkers. It's Landon Cardulo, still 4/10 clear, but we got 3 wide for a lot of this track, all the way back from 10th behind.
Yeah, so they are battling hard back there, but Landon Cardulo entering turn 3. 1 more turn to go before he is staring down his first win of the season. The 13 comes off turn 4, keeps it straight. We got Reckon back there, but Landon Cardulo doesn't care. He's a winner here at Kentucky.
Huge wreck behind. It's got Sean Jensick involved. I believe Bobby Anderson involved. I think I saw one of the other JW trucks. Not sure which one it was, but I see Doyle and Williams up there. But my goodness, we might have a huge shakeup, and this is going to take some time to crunch the numbers and see who actually goes to Homestead after a frantic finish has absolutely grenaded this points leaderboard.
I have absolutely no idea who's going to be competing. That was a wild one, but one thing we know for sure, our winner, Landon Cardulo, he wasted no time in getting back around to the front straightaway, and I know this is going to be an important one to him. Saw on his social media not too long ago that his grandmother passed away recently, so I have to imagine this one is going to be for her.
And that is a huge feel-good moment there for Landon to do that after that. That's always tough, tough situation, and condolences to Landon and the family there. But, you know, getting that win for the first time here this season, and no real way to transition to that, but that wreck that played out behind, that has some massive implications, because looking at it now, Sean Jensick, 20th place finish.
Well, let's see if I can maybe cue that up. A lot of happening. So we'll bring up the checkered flag here. Change the camera. We'll go back to Ben Park because that's the first truck that I saw kind of involved with this, I believe.
Yeah, he fell back down to 15th. He's running 5th here on the outside of Trevor Williams in the 46. Jonathan Byer shooting the gap in the middle, 3 wide, gets tight, runs up into Ben Park, clips him, and Sean Jensick barely gets tagged. See a few other trucks. I saw Bobby Anderson back there. I think it was Austin Purnell, another one. But man, Sean Jensick was probably inches away from avoiding that one. As we take a look, it's that white, green, and black truck on the outside, center of the screen, as he's trying to make his way through, dives down to the inside, does everything he can, and my goodness, inches away from missing that.
Yeah, just trying to get to the line, and there he goes across the stripe in 19th after he was running inside the top 10 there at the end. So tough break for Sean Jensen. We're going to figure it out. I know our Sean Griffith is hard at figuring out these numbers because there is a lot to hash out. So it looks like the burnouts are done for Landon Cardullo out here on the front stretch. Let's go ahead and head on up to the blimp cam here and check out the results for tonight's race here at Kentucky Speedway. Landon Cardullo is your winner. Gets his first W on the season. Andrew Harris coming home in second. Have to imagine he is going to be moving on. I think we know that he is going to be there in those final 5. Brad Herman comes home third. Lane Doyle in 4th. Jonathan Byer in 5th.
6th place will be Trevor Williams, who I think did enough to make sure he solidified his way through the playoffs, though we'll wait for the official results. Nick Halda in 7th. Michael Madden, he was 13 points to the good. 8th place finish there. He should be pretty safe, but we'll, again, wait for that. James Kerr will wind up in the 9th position. Connor Cunningham will round out the top 10.
Nathan Nixon going to be there in 11th. Lucas Lyons coming home in 12th after a rough night out there in that 7 machine. Jason Kratky comes home 13th. Jose Castellanos 14th. And Ben Park in 15th.
16th place will be Sean Kozier. Josh Mueller will wind up in 17th. Austin Purnell will be the 18th finisher. Dean Gagliano will be in 19th. And in 20th place, points leader entering this race, Sean Jensick. Go through the rest of the lead lap because there are some heavy playoff implications here. Bobby Anderson in 21st. Ryan Johnson, 22nd place after the late EOL. And in 23rd, last on the lead lap, Derek Silva.
Well, let's go ahead, get to the interview portion of this thing and bring up Brad Herman. So, Brad, it is Greg Olenek and Brandon Domain up here in the SRN broadcast booth. Congratulations on your P3 here tonight. What do you think about your chances of moving on after what was a wild last turn there? Brad, you got a copy. It's Greg Olenek and Brandon Domain. You got us?
Might be trying to do some math there.
All right. So I'm not hearing him. Are you hearing him, Brandon?
No, I do not have Brad either.
All right. Well, we'll send him on back down to the waiting room, see if he can get those connection issues fixed, and we'll try and move on to Andrew Harris if we can track him down. There he is in the 87 machine right here. Let's bring him up. Andrew, it's Greg Olenek and Brandon Domain up in the SRN broadcast booth. Congrats on the P2 runner-up here tonight, man. Tell us about your race here in that 87.
First off, I'm so glad to talk to you guys again. This is amazing. I think this gets me into the Championship 5. I've never been here before. I am so soaked, so I apologize up front. About the race, man, I was really, really fast on new tires and really, really slow on old tires. That's pretty much what sums up the whole race for me.
And that was, we knew that you had to absolutely go for it here today, coming in that 1 point back and then leading that lap kind of set you up on that tie, and then you just basically just try to outrun Lane Doyle and a couple of others. So it looks like, and we don't have any official numbers, it looks like you'll probably be in because of all that stuff and that second place finish. But man, it has been one of those seasons where that first half, a little bit of a slower start, you really built up momentum in the second half, and it looks like it might be sending you to Homestead. What changed there in the middle of the season that really put it all together for you?
It's pretty much what I told you guys, I think, almost midway through the season when I got that second place finish the first time. I just kind of changed my mindset, try to drive a little safer, save a little tire. Watching Ryan Johnson, dude, class at the field every week. Just trying to watch him. Clearly a master at saving tires, way better at pit stops. I don't know, he's got 17 people on his pit stop doing tire changes on both sides. He's doing an F1 pit stop. I don't know what he's doing, but I think just really sort of focus up, really.
Well, Andrew, I have some good news for you. I do have
Let's
official
hear it.
numbers, and you will be racing for the championship in
There you go.
Homestead, Miami. So congratulations, Andrew. Great job, man. Super proud of you and your progress here this season after season 2. Did not go your way. So get to practicing, man. We'll see you out there in Miami.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
All right. Well, that was our runner-up here tonight, Andrew Harris. He is going to be going to Homestead Miami Speedway racing for that $500. You could tell just how excited he was about that. But let's go ahead, bring up the man of the hour, and get Landon Cardulo up here in the booth. Landon, it's Greg Olenek and Brandon Domain up here. Congratulations, man. I know getting this win is going to be super important for you after just struggling to get it here in Season 3. Tell us how you're feeling, Landon, after a hard-fought win tonight.
I won a race. It took way too long. I'm super, super, super grateful. I'm still shaking. I know on that last restart, I was looking at my Apple Watch and I'm sitting at 164 beats, per minute. So I'm struggling over here. The truck was fantastic. Great run. Super clean race. I knew I had a little bit better pace than Harris, but he was fast on the long, or not long runs, but short runs. And once I saw Ryan come up behind me, I'm like, yeah, my race is over. But I try to give him as much room, but still race him a little dirty. Luckily, it wasn't planned, but my teammate helped out a lot. Unfortunately, he came across my nose, and he went sliding. But other than that, I'm ecstatic right now.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can put any blame on the racing there that you had to put down there, trying to keep every point possible there. But that truck, unbelievable that you had tonight. I mean, you had the most laps led clinched up right around the halfway point. That says a whole lot out there. And what kind of helped you put it all together tonight? Obviously, you've been a top 10 driver at most every single race here this season. But what was the change tonight to put you out in victory lane?
I don't know. I didn't practice any extra than what I usually do. I know last year around, the second round, I was out and Auto Club was coming up, and I ended up getting in by winning that race. So I kind of used that as my mindset, and the boys brought me an awesome truck. I mean, we got as much bonus points as we could. Unfortunately, I ended up getting some incident points out of the Ryan Johnson deal, so that's not a bonus point that I get to keep. But all in all, whatever the point situation is, I mean, I'm hoping that I'm in it. But if not, I'm super, super grateful.
Well, Landon, I can unfortunately tell you that you did not advance here, but a well-fought effort. You did everything you could. And you got that W here, which I know is just as important here in Season 3. But before we let you go, Landon, you got any friends, any family, any sponsors you want to give a quick shout-out to?
Yeah, I want to thank my team, Jonathan, Jacob, James, and then we have Austin as well. I can't come to the track and get on the sim without them, so they're a huge plus. And Glitch Energy for coming on board again. They're my primary sponsor this year. Bolify, they sponsor JB. They're a big help. A bunch of sponsors, but a big shout out. My grandma unfortunately passed away on the 8th of this beginning of this month, so that's on my mind, and I'm glad I could win it for her. So.
Yeah, we mentioned that during the race, man, and so we were definitely rooting for you out there here tonight. Congratulations once again, Landon. Get to practicing for Homestead. You still got some money to race for those 6th through 8th handouts. So get to work, man. We'll see you out at Homestead.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
All right, so that was Landon Cardulo, our winner here tonight. Brandon, a great race that really shook some things up at the end, and I might have some insight on that shakeup, Brandon. Here's a look at those points here. Here's the guys moving on, and once again, 6 drivers gonna battle it out in Homestead, Miami. Michael Madden, Trevor Williams, Andrew Harris, Lane Doyle, Sean Jensick, and Brad Herman. There you see the first name, Ryan Johnson. Not gonna move on here.
That it's unbelievable, and I know that the playoffs are a pretty polarizing thing. There are some people that love it. There are some people that don't. It does get frustrating sometimes when you see the guys that have been the class of the field all season not make it to the championship. That's happening here with Ryan. That happened last night with Joseph Causey, but it's the nature of the beast. And it's somewhat like I said last night. We all know the rules that we sign up for when we come to the season. So it's kind of one of those things, just how it goes. And this playoff did take that chunk out of the man that won 7 races here this season out of the first 19, out by 5 points. Landon Cardulo winner tonight, out by 7. But how about that? A tie for Sean Jensick to stay in by 1 spot. Somebody shoving him across that line as he was spinning gave him a little bit extra momentum. Might have saved his playoff run, his championship hopes. Brad Herman making his way through with a 3rd place finish. Michael Madden, Trevor Williams tied for the points lead at the end of this round. Just chaos all over the place, and we reset it. And it's the first one of those 6 drivers across the line in Homestead takes home the title. And I think we lost Greg. Not sure if he's still there,
nope,
actually.
I'm here.
Oh, there you are.
So, Brad, it's Greg Olenek and Brandon Domain. I don't know what's going on with my mic tonight, but just wanted to go ahead and congratulate you, man, because not sure if you're watching the stream or not, but you clinched a spot in that final round to defend your Season 2 championship here in Season 3. How does it feel after a wild finish to that one?
Oh, God, that's the only thing I wanted to hear you say, Greg. Man, I had to get up and just walk around, take a drink for a second, take a breather, because I knew it was going to be really close. But I'm really happy I made it. I knew with Ryan getting that EOL and Jensick having trouble at the end, it was going to be pretty close between us.
Well, it was the closest of margins, a tie for that 5th position. So you're advancing and making it a championship 6 with Sean Jensick at 3,102 points, 5 clear of Ryan Johnson. But man, that win last year here at Kentucky, back it up with a podium finish here tonight. This track really playing out well for you and really gave you a nice boost here as we get ready to go to Homestead. How you feeling about your chances once we get to Miami?
I don't know. I know I got to put a lot of hours of practice in because I'm not too confident with Homestead, but I think we'll be all right. Hey, last year I finished 8th or something like that and won the championship, so anything can happen.
You certainly did, man, but congratulations once again. Go ahead, get to practicing, and we'll see you out there at Homestead, man. Good luck.
Thanks, boys.
All right, Brandon, so we got to speak to our defending champion quickly, get his thoughts on barely making it on into the Final 5, and it just goes to show how much this means to a lot of these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And this truck series, we talk about it all the time. And yes, you do have somebody that wins 7 races. You have Brad Herman, who had, I think, a top 10 now and shoot, I would say out of 19 races, I think 18 of those 19 races. He's been absolutely unbelievable this year. So you got those 2 up top. But the competition level of this, I mean, you could look at any of that final 10, really any of the playoff drivers, and think those guys could be racing for the championship. I mean, you got the lucky dog and Sean Jensick. He's going. Andrew Harris was, I think, the 14th or 15th seed coming in. He's going to the championship. Just tells you how good and how competitive this truck series is, and it was an absolute toss-up all the way through this final lap tonight.
Just how hard playoff racing is. It's not easy, and I can speak on it as I was in it last year and was lucky enough to make it to the final race. But, man, I specifically can still remember battling it out with Seth Reed for that final spot. We were nose to tail, and it just is it's pressure, man. And a lot of these guys folding under the pressure and unfortunately not going to be able to move on. And you could just hear, you mentioned it, Brandon, during the commercial break, the dejection in Ryan Johnson's voice once that incident happened. So, unfortunately, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and that's something that granted, it was, I wouldn't say that I was a championship favorite in season 1, but I was in that position where you're in that spot where you're saying, all right, I'm above that cut line, got a handful of laps to go, something happens and it knocks you out of that contention, and it's a heartbreaker, and it's something that it's all about how you respond from there. And there's still another chance for some money next week. He's got the team championship to run for. He's got that 6th place or the 7th place prize, I suppose, now to run for as well to get a little bit of cash back. But it's obviously not going to replace the thrill of going for that championship. But I mean, knowing Ryan, knowing how competitive he is, he's going to be one of those guys that bounces back really strong.
Yeah, so a long season coming to an end. 1 week to go here in the Truck Series, but we still have one more set of Championship 5 drivers to figure out, and that's going to be in the SRN Xfinity Series race the same time here tomorrow night. So go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that little bell so you know exactly when we go live. But for myself, Brandon Domain, all the admins here, and each and every one of the drivers behind the scenes, we wish you all a good night and go faster.